Welcome to another edition of the Resilient Living Podcast, a show dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. Today is episode 01, and I am your host, Adrian Babishoff, and I can't wait to get into this one. It's the age of paranoia. Is this the age of paranoia? We're broadcasting live from my mobile studio, which is my F-350 pickup truck, while we get started on the show here. And I do these shows on my commute, so please pardon the background noise. Let's get into the subject matter today. Is this the age of paranoia? What is going on here? And I think that this morning as I woke up, I wanted to try to talk about what I think is kind of going on in the world, something relevant to what a lot of people are going through. And what I notice and I see around me is a lot of scared and paranoid people. And you kind of can't blame them because there's a lot of scary things out there. And there's a lot of evidence to push this, but there's not enough if we keep digging deep. So I want to save people from this paranoia, come up with some answers. The future of the show will always be, let's find out what some problems are, but let's focus mainly on the solutions. So what we have here in this age of paranoia, I want to give you guys some sort of reference as to where I'm coming from and what I'm talking about, and why a lot of this could be some bull crap. Right? Some bullcrappy stuff is that when we look at like essential oils and like a lot of healthy eating, your food should be your medicine should be your food. I think that a lot of people don't want you to know these things, and they'll do everything in their powers to make sure that they can put it and make it through social media or news since the beginning, even before social media. We'll talk about that in a minute. Of why things are very screwy, why food, why you need medicine. Because food doesn't really make as much money as medicine does. You wouldn't be dependent. Although we have the Gerson therapy and many other people changing diets and stuff for people and actually healing them of cancer, a success rate of 95%, right? Of cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's. I don't know about the Alzheimer's, but I know diabetes and all kinds of different ailments. The Gerson therapy has a 95% success rate. Think about that for a minute. And all they do is change diets. You know, you got to get rid of meat. You got to do certain things. So they're not even allowed to do that here in the United States. They have to do it in Mexico. So that's why they do it here in San Diego, where I live. Well, they're located in San Diego, right by the Tijuana border, so that they can go over the border and be able to perform these things to really heal people up. So what's interesting is when we hear from social media that essential oils and stuff like that they make fun of. I'm going to pick that one because I did research. I, for one, am on blood pressure medication, and what I learned was that peppermint oil will actually mess around and with it'll work different with the blood pressure medication. So it's actually recommended that you don't use it, right? But there's a lot of people who say, many of the doctors will say that it has no effect. You're fine. So it's kind of hard to tell. What do we do? The moment we'll know is when it comes from the doctor's mouth, when you're going to go through open heart surgery, let's say, something very heavy, and they're going to tell you to not eat bananas because of the potassium in there, to not use peppermint oil because that can mess with your blood pressure medications while you're recovering from your open heart surgery. All these foods, grapefruits and things like that, if you do your research, magically become medicine that can affect what's going on in your body, but when it didn't before. So those are the type of things that I look at. A lot of information that we're fed right now is to keep us freaked out, scared, and paranoid, because I believe that's how you can control the masses of people, and you can sell them lots of things, and you can create dependency so that we always need this system instead of creating our own systems. Because what would happen if we all created our own systems? What would happen if we were able to produce our own medicine, our own foods, our own fuel, our own energy? We wouldn't need anybody. And I think that's a really scary thing for a lot of corporations and people like that. So they'll do a lot everything they can to steer you away from that. Now, moving on to social media and these type of things here, is I think we have independent individuals like myself who are content creators who pick up on this paranoia stuff. And I think that they see it, and there's some very elaborate stories out there with scientific data and everything else that when you watch this stuff, these so-called conspiracy theories or just theories on what's going on, you look and you go, oh my God, I know a lot of people in my life who are like, did you hear about what's going on with this and that and that? And I mean, they're really bought in. But and then I would look from a different perspective, say, have you also heard about this, this, and that? And a lot of people would say no. So we'd both put our information together, and when we come out in the end, would be like, none of us know what's going on. Because there's equal compelling evidence against or the pro and cons. And it leaves us wondering, well, where do we go from here? Well, I'll tell you where we go from here, at least for myself, is that it's good to get the argument, the opening argument out of everything, to go through all the different ends and figure out what exactly is going on and what makes sense to me. What do I have control over? And what can I do to make my life better, whether these things happen or not? So that's kind of the ticket of the way I like to live my life. But I feel very disgusted with a lot of these people who are just feeding the stuff out to the public. I mean, there's TikTok and Instagram and all those type of things out there. And these people are really, really sounding real. And we're not hearing all of the information, and it's a lot. And I kind of, in the future of the show, we're only going to do 15-minute segments because my budget won't allow me to do more than these. I also run another podcast and some YouTube channels, so I don't have a lot of space in my internet, my bandwidth. But yeah, I would actually like in the future, if you guys want to contact me, we'll get a email going up here soon and a website. But I want to know, what I'd like to do for you guys is actually research a lot of different information, the pros and cons, different information on things, so that I can present it to you. Because I know you guys are busy, just like myself, and it takes a lot of time to go through all those things, you know? And it's not what I'd like to present the information, how I'd like to present the information is, here, guys, here's what I found, here's the pros, here's the cons, and here's what I think would be a solution. And I would love to make a community out of you guys, for you guys to give your feedback, so that we can all share through this show. I could be the telephone, right? And get everybody's opinions, and then look and their solutions, put it all together, and then maybe we can make something out of it. So please let me know if that's something you guys are interested in. I will have the email hopefully here by the next episode. So yeah, the media sells it, the internet sells it, and the art of scarcity, I think. I'm in sales, I own my own business, I'm an entrepreneur. I actually am starting a lot. That's where I'm heading this morning, is actually to research into starting a whole nother business. I need more pokers in the fire, as if I'm not insane enough. But one thing that a lot of people leverage in sales, and I don't do this, is scarcity. Get the deal now, because the deal is only 24 hours and then it's gone, and it makes you woo, 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 woo. So scarcity, I notice, has been put in a lot of different things. And speaking of scarcity, that was what happened with me in 2020. Was I went prepared for myself. Preparedness is going to be a subject matter in this show, in the lifetime, and it's not crazy. I think it's preparedness for the rest of us, people in the city, and light prepping, not heavy. Maybe we'd go heavy if that's what you guys want to talk about, but I'm talking light preparations, emergency preparations. They said that there was going to be a trucker strike that never came. I think that was in November. And I went and bought myself a bunch of food and stocked up stuff. I didn't go crazy, I just filled up about 2 of those black totes with the yellow lids, a bunch of canned food, spaghetti sauce and noodles and stuff like that, flour and rice and, things I'm going to use anyways. That's what we do on the shows. We stack functions. We never purchase a bunch of stuff like most people do. Load up a trash bin, let everything expire, and then give it away and lose a couple $100. No, we buy stuff that we're already going to use, and we put it in rotation just like a restaurant and run our lives like a business. But I am trailing off here. I've just got so much to tell you guys. I start getting excited. Let's stay on point. Scarcity. So yeah, they created scarcity. And it drove me to go buy a bunch of food. And I noticed that's what we have right now. We have a bunch of scarcity in housing, to rent a house, buy a house, a lot of different things. And it's creating a lot of paranoia, a lot of impulse buying and things like that. And it's very smart. But we need to understand how these things work. And I want to tell you guys a secret. If you can't look somebody in your eyes, which I've learned, and this is very disgusting. This is how to sell a lie, or how to even tell a lie professionally. If you guys notice, I'm looking into the camera, and you guys can probably see my eyes, and it looks like I'm looking at your eyes. When you're in person, face to face with somebody, and you feel like you can't look them in their eyes, just look just above their eyes, at their eyebrows. Focus in on their eyebrows, and just stare at that. it may feel awkward to you, but the person watching you, even if they are about 3-4 feet away from you, can't tell that you're not looking in their eyes. So if you just stare at their forehead every single time and speak, it gives you a straight face. You don't have to make eye contact. That's how ugly our systems are. Those are things that people utilize, which is just insane to me. So we talked about all the distractions and things like that, these paranoids, but what do we do about it? You're going to learn everything, and we're going to share a bunch of information on the show. I think, as I said, with food, the best thing you can do is start growing your own food, start getting a garden going. I know a lot of people I meet right now, that is one of my businesses that I do, is building garden systems, growing my own food. I have a whole invention called the biodegradable container gardening systems. It's on YouTube. Not very much footage yet, but it is coming. But that's one of the most powerful things you guys can do, is grow your own food. I know a lot of you are scared, and the black thumb is a myth. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how what works for one person, even in your neighbor, over the fence, won't work for you, because there's different things going on in your soil with heat and insects and all kinds of different microbiomes and things like that. There's a lot of things that we can start doing, educating ourselves. And I think that what I want to say is that the mindset is going to be the biggest thing in all of this paranoia and all of this, in lifestyle design, basically. I think a lot of people their minds have been imprinted to follow and believe what social media is telling you, believe what the news is telling you, everything, right? And I'm not saying to disregard all of that stuff, but I think the biggest thing is to learn to think for yourself. And I think a lot of what we've gotten, these mind imprints of things that come from our parents. This is the way it always is. You take one step back, or one step forward, you take 10 steps back, and then life happens. You can plan all you want, but then life just happens. So why even plan for these type of things? You just got to roll. We start feeling these things. We start getting this subconscious dialogue, excuse me, in our minds, and it becomes our mindset. And what we believe determines our experiences. So if we keep telling ourselves that we're going to be poor all the time, the world's coming to an end, or I'm just one person, what can I do? I don't have a formal education. I'd like to tell you guys that we'll share that later on in the show. We'll save that. I want to tell you guys about my education, and it might surprise you of your forward thinking. Actually, let's just do it right now. Guys, I never made it past the 7th grade. And maybe I just lost half of you. Good. If you don't like that, if that bothers you, not here to offend anybody. We like to make jokes too, people. Mostly at my own expense. I have made more money than most of my friends in my lifetime. I was a dropout at 7th grade, and I've made well into a 6-figure income by using my mindset, by changing it, by being inventive. And I believe it comes from not being suppressed by what my family members were doing. Not necessarily my family members, but friends and people around me. I never really took no for an answer. I really always questioned everything and sat back and said, and I've noticed that they're just people. I had this magic idea that like a doctor or a plane pilot was this special person with these special powers, When it comes down to the end of the day, they're just people like you and me. And when I looked at that, movie stars and things, and I said, well, if that person could do it, then why couldn't I? So I always had that mindset, I can do this. I can do things differently. And with that mindset, it's very important for you guys to understand, because this is a dropout guy who made well into a 6-figure income back in 2016. And it all came from my imagination and thoughts and stuff that I put together. I'd also like to tell you guys that I take off, we've talked about that in episode 00, the introduction. I don't know anybody who's able to take 3 to 4 months off a year and do that in consecutive for 5, 6, 7 years as long as I have, and get away with it. And it's called the alternative lifestyle design. I've completely changed everything around, and this is the mindset. I think it may be irritating to a lot of people, because it's like, just give me some solutions, man. But we can give you solutions. We can give you medicine. We can give you an aspirin, but we need to figure out what's going on and giving you a headache first so we can fix that, right? Does that make sense? It reminds me of functional medicine compared to Western medicine, the doctors. It's like having a sore foot, and you go to the doctors, and that's what they'll do. They'll give you a aspirin or some painkillers. Functional medicine will come and take your shoe off and look and say, what's going on? What are you eating? Let's take blood work and figure out what's going on. And when they take your shoe off, they find out there's a rock in there. It was something so simple. Let's get rid of that rock, put the shoe back on and go. So that's going to be a lot. Once you guys get your mindset down and you believe in yourself. I tell my kids this, I believe in you, but you need to believe in you. And I believe in you guys, that each and every single one of you, and I don't care where you're from, what color, what gender, whatever you are, we all have talents and we all have special abilities and powers, I believe. We've just been led through social media. We've been led through some public education and the news and all this mind imprinting that we suck and that we're just simple people and we have to go through all these steps in order to get through life, that we can't think for ourselves and that we're trapped. None of us are trapped. We all have decisions. So that's the show, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't have a place for you guys to message me yet, being we're just getting started out. But if you guys, if I gave you some value today, please like and subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Help me to get this show off the ground. I've been doing a show for about 3 years now, and it was a potty mouth podcast. And this one's going to be clean, family oriented. But I want to see if something people like. If you guys want the show to keep going, I will need your support in the future, from now and in the future. Just give me a review, like, subscribe, give me a like, a thumbs down, whatever it is. But thank you guys so much for being here today. I cannot wait to bring you guys more value. And with that, we'll see you guys on the next episode.